for this time we're able to come and open up your word. Lord, this is important. Lord, I'd like to joke around a little bit, but now we're going to get serious. Lord, this is important. I know there's a lot of homes out there that are broken. Lord, I pray for them. My heart goes out to them. Lord, I do not stand up here and say boldly, hey, I was raised in a Christian home. I'm thankful for that. I know it's just your good graces. Lord, I pray for these broken homes. Lord, I pray that you'll heal them, you'll revive them, and bring them back to where they need to be. Lord, for those that may be struggling with this whole concept of moms and dads and where they need to be as teenagers and children, Lord, may they find hope in this lesson tonight. Lord, I give you all the glory and praise out of Jesus' name. Amen. All right. My one guy that I was going to preach to tonight's not here. Now, Adrian is not here. Anybody watch Fast and Furious? Come on now. First one. Fast. Okay. All right. Praise the Lord, guys that watched that. What was one of the most famous quotes Dom said to Paul Walker? What he said to Paul Walker in the garage. What was one of his famous quotes? Come on now. Preach. I get to say. Oh, come on. There's no wrong answer. What do you say to him? All right. One of his famous quotes, I don't butcher, he says, I don't have friends, I have family. Now, we all know Fast and Furious has gone down 10 different roads, and I love the first one. That's one of my favorites. Paul Walker is Mr. Cool with blue eyes, and he can't do no wrong. But I can remember Don looking at him, he says, man, we are not just friends, we got family. And that's how I look at it. I've got a lot of family that lives in Florida, but when I roll into church on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night, you guys are family to me. And I've let you guys down. I try to make it to sporting activities, and I know some of my students are in plays, and I feel bad about that, but I express that. I try to be there because I treat you guys as family. You're not just my friends, you're my family. And I think when you begin to understand that concept, even though we're not related by blood, you see life in a whole new perspective. And so as I began to study this and kind of dive into it, I began to realize very quickly that family is everything. It is everything. And I tell you what, I mean, I can walk around here a lot tonight and go to each and every one of you. Like I said, man, homes are not perfect. Homes are not perfect, man. Especially in our culture today, homes have kind of been torn down, and the world is trying to say this is how homes should be. It's okay to live a busy life. It's okay to not eat dinner at the dinner table. It's okay to just kind of do what you want, and family principles have just gone to the wayside. They've gone to the garbage. Some of my favorite moments was sitting at the dinner table, just getting to share what I did that day. And I know that's gone away because Taco Bell came along, and everybody loves Taco Bell, and we go into the drive-thru. And so guess what? You get to talk a little bit about school while you're in the car with mom and dad. You never really get to look at them that much because why? If you're not busy, you're not normal. Like, when did busy become normal? I just don't get that. It kind of baffles my mind. Like, I'm a busy guy, but I still find time for my family because family is everything to me, especially as I was growing up. But as I said here, what has crept in, and we've studied this in Sunday school, is liberalism. Liberalism has sneaked in, and they said, you know something, this whole God standard thing about dads and moms and the children's role, we're going to kind of change that up, and we're just kind of do what we feel is right. Well, what I said, feelings get you in trouble, don't they? Feelings can lead you astray. And so our feelings as a country are like, well, we kind of want to do it this way, we kind of want to do it that way, and I won't go down a crazy road. Let me tell you this, though. I was raised in a Christian home, but that does not mean that it was perfect. Man, I shed tears. I was frustrated many times in my home. I had an older brother. I love my older brother. But there were some times, even though we all Christians, we would still wrestle on Saturday morning. And really just go out, and we would ask for forgiveness at the end, but he's my older brother, and I think he was trying to toughen me up a little bit. But even though it was a Christian home, we still had struggles. We still shed some tears. But thankfully, at the end of the day, because it was a Christian home, my dad would sit us two stupid idiots down, and he would say, you're going to forgive one another here. Because that's what we do in this house. If you walk into my house, hope you're not breaking in, you walk into my house, you will see on the wall there, it says, hey, we do hugs, we do grace, and we do love. Like, that's important to me. That's what my mom and dad taught. That's what my grandma taught me. But at the same time, I'm thankful. Yeah, we had some ups and downs in our Christian household, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful for mom and dad. You know why? Because they always put food in my belly, they put a roof over my head, and I tell you what, even up until in my I didn't live there too long once I graduated, my mom still made a clean bed. Like hard days work. I work shipping department, I am busting sweat. And I take a hot shower and just go into bed. There's nothing better when you pull over the comfort and you can just smell the bounce sheets. Like mom had just cleaned the bed. Like put brand new sheets on, and it was just like, that was sometimes better than a hot meal to me. Because like when you jump into a clean bed, you just, I don't know, you sleep 10 times better. Man, my mom and dad love me. I'm so appreciative of what and how they raised me. I don't take that for granted, but at the same time, don't get me wrong tonight. There is no perfect family. Christian, non-Christian, family is what you make it. Don't let the past mistakes determine the future. Remember that tonight. If there's one thing that you remember about this talk on family, is don't let the past mistakes determine the future. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to have to give my grandma a big hug because I use her a lot in my lessons. But my grandma, the Gregory family, you might look at me today and say, that guy's pretty clean. Like, he's good to go. You won't catch me in a bar. You won't catch me smoking. Nothing. I'm clean. You know why I'm clean? Because of grandma. The Gregory family back in the 50s, or it was 41 to 2, they were alcoholics. Like, they would throw drunken brawls every weekend. And it was my grandma that stood up and said, we ain't going to that. We're going to church. But my grandpa had to buy into that, too. Like, he's the dad. And he's kind of like, yeah, I can see this is a good decision here. And so my grandma broke this cycle. Instead of saying, you know something, our family's going to be alcoholics just like everybody else, she said, no, we break the cycle. We go into church. We're going to find Jesus. We're going to change our culture as Gregory's. And a lot of people find that as a shock because I'm a Gregory. And you see a Gregory, all they do is serve and they love on Jesus. But before that, my grandma, she had to make a decision to break the cycle. So don't let the past determine your future. Remember that tonight. Don't just say, well, because he did, I'm going to do it, and you just keep going down the same vicious road. We are studying the roles of the father, the mother, the kids, and it's like, I think Brittany can testify to this because she's in plays. You got role play. And if you don't, say your lines right, they're going to, at least hopefully not, they find somebody to replace you, but you have a role to play. And so it kind of challenged me. It's like, am I playing a role as a husband the way that the Bible interprets it to be? Now, we're not going to spend 10,000 years on the husband because you guys aren't married yet. But this is good advice to kind of check mark and say, hey, when I get married, I need to follow the biblical standard of what a family should be. Point number 1 tonight is the wife. The wife. Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. We're not going to skip over verses. I'm not that kind of preacher. I could have skipped over this and said, let's go to chapter 4. The home is important. That's where things happen. That's the game changer, is home. So I thought this is important. Even though it's talking about wives and husbands and children at the end, I think because Paul was like, they need some help. I hate troublemakers. All right, let's get into it. Verse 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the Lord. I grew up in a culture where it was like dad has all power, all authority. And in my mind, and me and my wife discussed this, I praise the Lord for her because I was able to bounce different things off of it. And I said, in our culture, when I was growing up, dad had full authority. Like, you kind of felt like mom was getting run over by a Mack truck. Now, I didn't see what was going on behind closed doors. My mom, if you've ever met her, you've been in Sparky's, you've met my mom. And she's a very loving lady. I mean, she's just godly. And, but in our house, when most men quote this verse, like they got this tattooed on their arm probably, like, submit to me! Submit, you're my wife, you gotta submit to me. And it just comes across as like, you're running your wife over, man. Like, she's your helpmeet. Like, don't forget Genesis. She's your dad. She ate the fruit. She caused sin to come in. Hey, we know that story. But man, she's still your helpmeet. She was taken from your rib, not from your foot. She wasn't taken from your head to oversee. She was taken from your rib and to be close to you, to help support you. This is what the Greek says about that word submit. The ancient Greek word translates submit is essential, a word borrowed from the military. It literally means to be under in rank. So immediately the guys go, woo! We're number one! We're number one! All right. I got 2 examples. First one is the military. Behind every good general, there is a group of advisors, isn't there? A general does not go into war without going to his advisors, right? If he goes into war without asking his advisors, he's pretty stupid. He goes to his advisors. He says, guys, this is a good idea. Is this a good plan? Same thing as a wife. She is the best advisor a man can ever have. Especially when you're dealing with your children, or you're dealing with a difficult situation at work, or you're dealing with a difficult family that's got a crazy uncle that keeps coming over and what do we got to do about this? Your wife is your best advisor at that point. Say, hey, how are we going to handle this, babe? How is this going to all work out? So she's like an advisor. She's not over. The husband has the duty once he seeks that advice and then make up the decision, as we'll find out later, because he answers directly to God as the Christ example. Second example tonight I found from a pastor, I can't recall his name. He said it's like an airplane. Last time I checked, there's 2 pilots. Right? But what happens? One pilot has to take over, doesn't he? And that other pilot submits to the lead pilot. But if something happens to the number 1 guy, that other guy can take over and get you safely home. Again, I found that was an excellent example for the wife. She is the co-pilot beside the husband, helping him steer that plane to safety, or steer your children's direction to safety. I mean, that's some great thinking there by that pastor. Again, don't get mad at this verse. I think it's easy for women to look at this verse and just say, what was Paul thinking? Why did God inspire him to write that? Like, couldn't he use some different wording there to kind of water it down a little bit to make it feel good? You got to keep it in context. Nate's version is this: having been around great women in my life, like my grandma, like my mom. And as many of you know, when we were still in Flanagan, I told the story from Miss Lorcan. Maybe she found out, but she was my biggest cheerleader. I mean, she was the one that grabbed me by the arm and said, you keep preaching. You keep doing what you're doing. Like, I always will respect that. So I've known some great women in my life that helped me, pray for me. They helped encourage me to say, keep doing what God has called you to do. So man, not for a moment am I going to throw women under the bus tonight, because they have been such an impact in your teacher's life to be the man that I am today. Behind every great man is a godly woman. I'll be the first one to say that tonight. Behind every great man is a godly woman who supports, they lift up their husband in prayer daily. They don't do it because it's their job. They do it because, hey, I love you. It's that agape love that we've been studying. And knowing that he is not perfect, only God is. And when he falls short, instead of watching the husband fall to the ground, the wife is there to catch him. When he falls, to encourage, to pray with, and to say, I'm there for you. And sometimes that's difficult. I'll be the first one to say that. I go down the road all night. I've seen broken homes, and it just kills your teacher to the bone. I've seen abusive situations. I've seen verbal, and it just tears me apart. Because when you go about it in the Christ-centered focus, as we're seeing tonight, it's a beautiful thing when it's working right. But when it's not, it's a disaster. We all can admit to that tonight. We've seen a lot of disasters in our time because the world has decided this is how we're going to do it. I'm not going to catch my husband when he falls. I'm going to watch him crash and burn. So you catch him. Man, that hurts. That hurts. Don't forget the last part of this verse tonight. As it is fit in the Lord. And during word commentary, I found just sums this up so beautifully. As it is fitting to the Lord, defines the extent of submission. But this is wrong. simply put in no place does the Scriptures say that a person should submit to another in the way. There are limits to submission. Your employer can expect of you. There are limits to submission the government can expect of you. There are limits to submission parents can expect of children. In no place does the Scripture teach an unqualified, without exception, and submission except to God and God alone. To violate this is to commit sin and idolatry. I said, man, that's truth. That's truth right there. That's a great statement to remember, because think about it. If you go back in history, we rebelled against the British, didn't we? We said, we ain't submit to them no more. We're going to start a revolution because you ain't going to tell me or tax me. I'm following my convictions. I want to have a religion that's free, that's not dictated by the government. And so we rebelled, didn't we? We didn't submit to the government at that point. But even Jesus said, hey, render to Caesar that which is Caesar, and the things that are God, give to him, right? So even Jesus is like, hey, yeah, when you got government in control, you got to submit to them, but sometimes you can't do that, can you? If they were to come in here tonight and say, hey, you can't preach the Bible no more, you'll be thrown in jail, teacher. You know what I would do? I'd say, I'm going to keep preaching. You can throw me in jail like what, but I'm going to still keep preaching Jesus till there ain't no more air in my lungs. I'm not going to submit to that. I submit to God and God alone. There are limits to submission. I briefly mentioned it, got off text a little bit. There's abuse, physical, verbal, emotional. My wife said not to use this, and maybe I won't. Don't let a loser, I use a different word, don't let a loser treat you like you are worthless and nothing more than an object or a tool to them to be used and abused however they want. That is not submission. That is, best word used is that's a loser. And if it gets to that point, I'm always here. Now, I'm not going to be the one handling it. I'm going to call my good friends in blue and say, hey, there's abuse going on in the home, and we need to take care of this. Because there is nowhere found in Scripture that's acceptable by any stretch. So if you deal with those types of problems, you seek me out, and we will handle it accordingly. So that your home is not getting torn apart by somebody being loose. I think that's the best way. We can use a lot of different words, but we'll help you out with that. It hurts me, man. It's hard to talk about it, but Psalms 11, verses 5 to 7, it kind of lets us know that God's still in control. God's still in control. Psalms chapter 11, verse 5 to 7. Oh, good, they're up there. It says this: the Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth. Man, those that are not treating family right, it can be on both ends, man. It's not just guys, sometimes it can be ladies as well. Like, man, he doesn't like that. It makes him sick. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares and fire and brimstone and honorable tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. For the righteous the Lord loveth righteousness. His content doeth behold the upright. Man, those that are trying to destroy the home, number one, we know that Satan is the leader of that. For number one overall, he is leading that destructive path. There's nothing more that he wants than to tear your mom and dad apart or your guardian apart so that they can't raise you in a Christian home. That's Satan, and he's at work. And he begins to use them, and God's like, I don't appreciate that. I'm going to rain down brimstone on them. I'm going to rain down sin. If there is somebody who's being abusive physically, verbally, emotionally, God's like, I got that. I'm taking care of that. I'm not forgetting about that. They're going to have to talk to me when they take their final breath and they stand before me at the judgment throne or the white throne of judgment. They're going to have to answer for that. But even while they're here on earth, I don't think you're going to live a peaceable life if you're not treating your family right. But guess what? There's always time for Ephesians 4:32 that says, be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. There's always time for forgiveness. Yes, I know the scars will last forever. But forgiveness is now. And that's tough. That's really tough. Like I said, I've seen a lot of different situations, and the man instinct, when you see somebody not being treated right, you're ready to go get the ball back and take care of it yourself. I think that's in every man's genes. Like children, man, they are important. They are the apple of God's eye. You start messing with my kids, man, instinct kicks in. It's like, get the ball back. That's not a man's job, is it? God says, you ain't the judge, I'm the judge. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And so as we close this point tonight, I know it's difficult. But submit, wise to submit, does not mean run over them like a Mack truck. It means to support. It means to lift that husband up in prayer. Even if you're not married, if you've got a relationship going on, boyfriend or girlfriend, you are lifting each other up in prayer regularly. You're not just saying, we're going to start a devotion. But you're doing the devotions together. Man, if you're at Chick-fil-A, I mean, come on now. They're padded seats. That chicken is good. The sweet tea's even better. And you say, hey, we're going to do devotions maybe once a week or twice a week at Chick-fil-A. Believe me, they won't kick you out because I've been there with my wife. We prayed and did devotions there in Clearwater. So she went to Pennsylvania, then I had to do it over the phone. But we still found a way to do it. I'd preach to her, she'd preach to me. We'd pray, and then I'd go to bed. And sometimes I'd fall asleep on the phone talking God. Say, now I don't know what God's got planned for us, man. I got a good feeling that it's going to be good. As long as we keep God first in our relationship. It starts with God, man. I mean, you don't have to wait until you're married to start making this great communication with your God and also with your significant other, saying we're going to build a good foundation that is founded upon God's principles. Like I said, Mom gets 2 pages tonight. Dad gets 1. Husband, verses 19 and 21. We're going to repeat verse 21 because it just kind of flows better. Verse 19 says, husbands, love your wives, Oh, remember that. Oh, underline that to the moon. Husbands, love your wives, and be not bitter against them. Verse 21. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be scourged. I want to open up to that commentary, but I just feel like this is off the notes. My dad's a hard dude. How many of you guys ever seen my dad? And if you come back on a Wednesday night, he's usually picking up the caution tape. Like, he's a rugged dude, okay? And even though he's rugged, he loved us. I mean, there were some points where I'm sure he questioned our actions, like blowing his front yard up with rockets and mortars and stuff. I'm sure he questioned sometimes, like, what my boy's doing. But he loved us. And he cared for us, and he talked with us. And I've told you guys this story 10,000 times. When you're in the car with Dad, he turns the radio down. You know a Dad's speech is coming. And you got to hold on. There's no place to go. There's no car door. You can fly out of because Dad's about to talk. And usually on hunt trips, he'd be in the car for 3 hours with Dad. And you're like, oh, man. All right, here we go. But he did it because he loved us. I can remember my brother be laughing about it later on in life. And we're like, hey, that was Dad. Turn down the radio, telling us something. But now that I've got older, I appreciate that because I realized he loved us. He cared for us. Now, for those of you that say, hey, but my dad, he's not a rock star. We still got a Father, and he's in heaven. And he's always listening. And he's always loving because when you, as my mom would say, when you pray, he's listening to you. But then once you're done praying, the Bible's right there for you. He's talking to you. Because that's his heart on the pages of all 66 books. So if you say, hey, my dad's not cool, he's not a rock star, man. You still got a Father in heaven that loves you unconditionally. He loves you, man. Even your mom, man, I'll go back to that. She loves you. But man, you got a Father that's always listening to you, man. Come on, so we're all go to this commentary before I run out of time here. It says, husbands, love your wives. Paul's words to the husbands are safeguards, his words to the wives. Though wives are to submit to their husband, it is never an excuse for husbands to act as tyrants over their wives. Instead, a husband must love his wife. And the ancient Greek word translates love here is agape, like we've been studying. Agape love gives love because it wants to. It does not demand or expect a repayment from the love given. It gives because it's love. It does not love in order to receive. I'll be the first one to admit this. I put in a long day at work. I mean, I've been throwing 50, 60-pound cabinets around at work, so when I come home, I'm pretty worn out. My hands are pretty beat up. And my wife has a hot meal there for me, but guess what? My body's kind of worn out too. And my feet are kind of hurt because I wear steel-toed boots. So sometimes I'll joke with my wife, like, I'll wash the dishes if you'll rub my feet. And she, most of the time, would be like, you don't have to do that. And it really blows me away. I would want to be married to you. Okay? But she's like, you don't have to wash dishes for me to work on your feet a little bit. And probably this year she'll go out to Kohl's and get one of those foot massages or something, so she's not doing it no more, but probably embarrassing her too. But she says, you don't have to wash the dishes because you want your feet wet. Like, I'm doing it because I love you. It's a true, I'm not expecting to get something back in return. But I feel bad because I'm the guy. I'm like, is there a fire going outside? Like, I gotta find something here. I feel bad. But that's true love there, man. That's agape. It's not to want to. It does not demand or expect a repayment. It just does it because that's what love is. We learned that last week. True love. Princess Bride. Beautiful picture of that. To show love when your pride tells you not to. I think that's the hardest thing for man is his pride. I don't know how much time I got left. You better go up the card or something. I don't trust that clock back there. You got 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you. No, I lost my place. Pride gets in the way for a man. Come on, preach to all the guys there. Pride gets in the way. Even at school, come on, we all can admit that. I'm a man, I'm a straight teaching up here. We all can admit pride gets in the way big time. Men have a big ego. Oh my goodness, we have a big ego. That's why we want to drive fast cars and do big burnouts. Like, we got a big ego. We want to impress our friends. Come on. Once you get there, we'll have Pride gets in the way. But when your pride's saying, don't say, I love you back, just go to bed angry, don't talk forgiveness, that's when you say, no, that's not the way I was raised. You always say, I love you, even when the biscuits are burnt and the gravy tastes like the food you're tired. That's Brad Paisley. He's like, man, even if the biscuits are burnt, the gravy tastes horrible. You don't say, this is horrible. You say, no, I love you when you go into bed. I love you. I'm appreciative of you. And I don't get too gushy here, but you kiss your wife good night, man. And if you can't do that, kiss on your hand and pat her on the back. Say, hey, I love you. It's tough. Pride gets in the way. Come on now. This hits all of us between the eyes. I'll skip that. This verse ends with the powerful statement, be not bitter against them. As the husbands, we are following Christ. And what did Christ do? What did he do when he was on the cross? And he looked at all those people that beat him, that plucked out his beard, that spit upon him. What did Christ do?
Father, forgive them.
Yeah, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Let me tell you something. It's so easy for a man, especially when things are going bad, to just get in a drunken rage and just act like a moron. Okay? It's easy to do. If things aren't going right, you start acting just like a complete idiot. But what you have to remember is we are not Jesus. We are human. We are following his example. And if we're following his example, we should have enough guts to say, I forgive you. Or can you please forgive me? I had to do that today at work. I think God was trying to preach to me again. I was talking to a couple gentlemen, and I kind of took things out. Never bad about somebody's country. I wasn't trying to do that. This guy's from Colombia. I said, hey, I got Uncle Tim over there. Uncle Tim's in Colombia. And I said, the house next to him blew up because of drugs. And this guy went lit on me. I mean, he flew off the handle. So later on that day, I said, hey, man, I didn't mean to step on your toes. I was just saying, hey, I got a missionary that's trying to do good work. And so I had to ask for forgiveness. It was tough, but I did it immediately because I knew that's what Christ did. Ephesians chapter 5. I want to end the husband point with this. The clock must be slow. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 to 31. Why do you have those verses, or I have to pull it up in my Bible? Oh, praise the Lord. You're awesome. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Sacrificial love, agape love, that he might sanctify. That means to cleanse, to make holy, and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. When a man makes a mistake, you better go to the Bible and get washed up. That he might present to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle of any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherished it, even as the Lord, the church. For we are the members of his body, and of his flesh, and of his bone. And this is key. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and the two shall be one flesh. What that gets at the end there, holidays, ladies and gentlemen. When you get to holidays, you better communicate big time with mom and dad and your in-laws so that you don't hurt no feelings. And if you're a smart man, you're going to look at your wife and say, what are we going to do? Because when you get married, what does the verse say? That you become one flesh. One flesh. I mean, hopefully you're not hands fighting. You're going to your mom and daddy saying, what do I do? What do I do? No, you go into your wife. You left there for a reason. You packed your Ford pickup truck up for a reason, and you moved either into an apartment or into a house. You are on your own now. You can still call them, but don't be paying back to them every chance when your wife runs the biscuit. Don't do that. You are one flesh. Communicate. Especially the holidays. That's the best advice I can give you on that one. Because I've seen it in my family. It torch it down, man. 15 years ago, he torched it down, especially grandmas. Woo! Both grandmas going at it. Wasn't a good side. Let's go on to the next one. Children. Let's get to it. Verse 20. So as we run out of time, I'll just look at verse 20. Children, obey your parents in all things. And all the children went, oh! Oh, that hurts. For this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. Come on. That had been something you just cringed at that. What do I got to do? I got to obey. I want to stay out till 1 in the morning tonight. Like, come on, I got to obey the times and the rules and the schedule. Like, oh, that hurts. Come on now, that hurts. But keep it in context. Paul is talking to kids. He's talking to teenagers, those still living at home under mom and dad's roof. And like I preach in here every week before we get started, they deserve respect and honor. And all the parents, if they were here tonight, say, yeah, amen, praise the Lord, hallelujah. Right? They deserve respect. They deserve honor. The Bible says, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. If you are 40-something still living at home, man, something terribly went wrong. Something went crazy wrong. But that's not new. If you're in California, that's nothing new. Those poor people, I pray for them, and they in rough shape. When you're 40 years old, still living at home, guess what? You still have to honor the rules they put there. If they say you got to pay $500 rent, you pay $500 rent. You don't give them $50 and go spend the other $450 on how you feel like you should spend it. You give them the rent that they say that you owe them. That's honor. That's respect. For those who live at home, you got to honor the rules. But once you leave home, you should cleave to your wife and love her with all your heart, soul, and mind. Honor. That's for those that have left home. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12 says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Let me tell you something. That's the advice I give you in closing tonight. Don't ever get too busy to call your mom and dad, to text your mom and dad, or to go see your mom and dad. That's honor and respect. That's real. That's real. That's now. And sometimes phone calls just don't cut it. You got to go talk to them because you never know how much more time you have with them, man. That's honor and respect to the fullest. So when you left home, yeah, you're on your own, maybe you got a mansion, maybe you live in high on the hog, as they say in the southern way, but never get too busy to see your mom and dad or your guardian to help raise you. I know I'm out of time, I'm sorry. So this is how it breaks down, ladies and gentlemen. The wife is the church. The husband follows Christ's example. He is not God. He's going to make mistakes. He's got a great example to go. Real quick to agree with that, right? God's got a great example to go by. Even ladies, they can look at Esther. They can look at all these beautiful ladies in the Bible we walk with. And children, guess what? You get to follow 1 and 2. You get to obey. You get to honor. You get to respect. And one day you get to be like me. You get married. You become an uncle. And you start having your own kids. And the cycle repeats itself. But guess what? You had, hopefully, God, you had some great role models to go by. I'm trying to be a good role model to you guys. I try to treat my wife well because she's earned it. I can tell you, I've been blessed. They really did a great job. Praise the Lord. And they raised a couple more like it too. So the world is better because of that. But that's the 3 standards tonight. The wife is the church, and guess what? Just as Jesus gave his life for the church, that's what a man does. It's a sacrificial love. He doesn't always have to be right. He can say, what do you think? And say, hey, that sounds good. Let's go with it. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man. We saw Colossians chapter 3, verse 14 last week, and I just want to close with that, and I'll close with prayer. I know we have time, I'm sorry. But the home is important. We all could agree to that tonight. Colossians chapter 3. Yeah, we're going back a couple verses. This is important. And above all these things, put on charity, which is bound of maturity, perfectness. For all 3 of those things to work, it starts with love. And we miss that in our culture today. I hope you got to bring it back. I got faith in you that you're going to bring it back. You're going to bring the love back, and you're going to obey your mom and dad. Your mom and dad's going to see the Bible, and you're going to get alive with that, and they're going to leave the home with the Bible and prayer time. You guys, I hope, bring it back. Because the home right now is a wreck. I think we all can agree with that. It's pretty much a train wreck right now. But just as my grandma stood up and said, we're breaking the cycle. We going to church. We're not going out drinking tonight. You guys can do the same. You guys can do the same. We close the prayer. Father God, this is a tough lesson. I love the home so much. I've spent many hours talking to my grandmas and my grandpas and gaining their wisdom. Finding time to pick up the phone and call sometimes can be difficult. I'll be the first one to say that I should have called more. Lord, I'll have an eternity to talk to them once we get to heaven. I'm thankful for that. Lord, I pray for these students. They are my family. They are not my friends. They are family to me. They mean a lot to me. They encourage me. They mean the world to me, Lord. And I just pray that you watch over them now as we go back. That, Lord, they learn something tonight, that the standards you set for us as a home was perfect. Does not need to be changed. Lord, I just do pray that you'll be with us now. Keep us safe.